Measuring success and modifying campaigns. So you're going to see, I'm pretty sure in one of your assessments there it says, you're going to run a couple of electronic advertisements, which is the equivalent of a Facebook post or whether it's email or whatever it might be. But then you need to test and measure. So is it being successful? Do you need to change it up? So we're going to talk about how you measure success on campaigns. I'm going to give you this really nice handout with 14 formulas to measure it. Okay, and I'm not going to go through it all, but it's basically you're looking at 3 different things when you're doing marketing advertising. You want to grow revenue, you want to reduce your costs, and you want to improve customer satisfaction. Yeah, they're pretty much like your top 3 for any business. Okay, because if you're growing your revenue, the customers are satisfied and you can do it without your labour going through the roof and your other associated costs. You're kind of home free when it comes to hospitality. So what does that look like? How are you going to measure that success? So is it leads? Is it conversion? Is it sales? Is it customer retention? Okay, so the trick with social media in particular is it becomes really difficult to work out whether your social media activity directly correlated to a spike in the sales in your bistro on a Tuesday. Okay, so often what you need to do is overlay your social media campaign, and that's why I said the more targeted it is, the better. Because if your campaign's targeted towards growing this particular day or this particular service period, and you've done all this activity, you've got lots of engagement, and the sales have gone up within usually like a 2-week to 3-week period, then it's probably worked. Okay, like that's at its simplest form. That's the easiest way to measure it, if you overlay your sales data to your activity. Okay, but there are all these wonderful formulas, and again, I'm not going to go through them one by one, but they're pretty straightforward. Okay, so some of you will do, how many of you run Google AdWords campaigns for your venue? You might not know if you do. So basically, if you're running pay-per-click campaigns, Google AdWords, it costs you so much per click on that ad, so for a specific keyword. So if it was weddings, for argument's sake, I'd hate to think what that keyword costs you, but it's probably, in the $9 to $10 to $14 mark per click, if you're talking about reception venues. So if you're getting social web traffic referrals, so basically what that means is you look at the Google Analytics for your website and it says you've had X number of hits from Facebook, you've had X number of hits from Twitter, you're kind of watching their paths of travel on your website, then that's going to tell you whether your advertising campaign that's not paid, whether it's working, okay, and what the traffic to that website's worth. Social media helps your search engine optimization. Okay, so can I get a show of hands? How many of you understand the context of search engine optimization, what it's all about? No? A little bit? I've got one person that's a little bit. All right, it's not my area of expertise because I do social media, but I will tell you a little bit about it. So search engine optimization is basically making your website attractive to search engines for specific keywords, okay? So there are lots of different ways to do it. You can pay an SEO person, usually between $900 to $1,200 a month, to go do it for you. Or you can do things that are called on-page optimization, okay? So things that Google as a search engine like when they crawl your website. Okay, so if you want to be known for, what venue are you from? Oh, okay, so that's a good one. That's an easy one for me. Good. So, okay, Hahndorf Old Mill. So you want to be known for conferences and events in the Adelaide Hills? Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of, even though you've got catchment down in Adelaide and international, but okay, so conference venue Adelaide Hills is your keyword. Okay, really important. So you want to have a whole page on your website that is dedicated to, we are the best conference venue in the Adelaide Hills because blah, blah, blah. If you're looking for a conference venue in the Adelaide Hills, blah, 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 Adelaide Hills conference venue, Adelaide Hills conference venue. If you can get it 4 times into the text of your website in a way that makes sense, and that's the tricky bit, so that you don't look like you're an idiot and just repeating the same phrase, Google's then going to rank that page on that website particularly highly for that search term because it's congruent and the whole site's congruent with that search term. Does that make sense? Okay. The beauty of it is if then in your LinkedIn profile, you list that page on your website and you talk about the same thing, so Adelaide Hills Conference Venue, blah, 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 Google looks at that backlink and says, well, LinkedIn has 3.5 million active users in Australia and it's linking back to this website, therefore that website just got lifted or elevated, okay? If you have a Google Plus page which is verified on your website, so Google Plus is Google's answer to Facebook, okay? And so they've just bought your maps listing and everything together and it's really messy now in Google Business. If you have that verified back to your website, Google places an organic weighting on that, so it lifts your website up again. If you've then got Facebook posts and things going out there about Adelaide Hills Conference Venue on your various posts and they're all linking back to that page, again, that lifts it up. Does that make sense? So we're kind of casting a web around your central point of contact, which is that page on your website. Okay, so that's what search engine optimization is about. That's what it's doing. Okay, so social is a really quick way to get things ranking highly. Okay, so long as it makes sense. There's no point talking about Adelaide Hills Conference Venue and sending them to the farm bun. Okay, so, all right, so that's like from the most complex end when it comes to SEO. So again, all of these things cost money. The other one that I really like is on page 5, number 8, so content value, user-generated content. Okay, so how many, you probably won't admit to this, but the culture of selfies is well and truly here and well established, okay? There's just what people do, apparently. So if you can encourage people through promotion or enticement to take selfies while they're in your venue and tag themselves with a specific hashtag or tag the venue in to go in the draw for or to get an opportunity to win or whatever it might be, that creates user-generated content which then you can repurpose. Okay? Not only that, if they're tagging your venue in, then all their followers and all their friends are seeing what you're doing. So, okay, it's beneficial. They're probably already doing it. They might just not be using a hashtag that you've picked for your venue. So it's like anything, you've got to educate Joe Public about what it is that you want them to do. Okay, it's a bit like I'm speaking at a conference on Friday and I was on the phone to the organiser this morning going, might help if you email all of the attendees for your conference the hashtag for the conference because nobody's tweeting about it at the moment. And they're like, oh, that might be a good idea. They've got 120 people coming to this thing. So it's relatively easy to do, okay? So these are all, like I said, you can pick and choose which of these you use when it comes to justifying what you're doing. It's just giving you the mechanisms to kind of measure that stuff and have a look at it, okay? But kind of my golden rule with this stuff is it's going to take time. So in the context of an assessment, you need to pick something that's easy so that you can measure it within the timelines of handing in your assessments. Okay, so whilst generally speaking, when we work with clients, we have a really long, like it's what we call a 12-week content cycle. Okay, so we have 4 weeks where we go, this is the industry sector that we want to target, or this is the demographic that we want to target. These are the kinds of things that they're interested in. These are the frequently asked questions, so on and so forth. So what that does is that in that 4-week cycle, we answer all those questions and that creates content. So we create the content. Then we have 4 weeks where we roll that content out across the channels that we've decided that we're going to roll it out over. And then we have 4 weeks of test and measure. Did it work? Did we get the engagement? Did we get the uplift in sales? What's happening? Okay. From there, it's kind of like a rolling cycle. So we finished this 4 weeks over here at the start. Okay, and whilst we're doing rollout, we've started the next content creation cycle for the next segment. So you're always fleshing out and further developing your digital persona for your next market. All right. The golden rule with any of this stuff is that often you start off really well. So people start off on social media and business because somebody told them that they had to do Facebook or they had to do Twitter or you've got to be on LinkedIn or whatever it might be. And they got in there without a plan and they posted stuff that they thought was a good idea. And then what happened was 6 weeks into it, nothing's really happening because they didn't have a plan that sat behind it in the first place. And so they stopped posting. Well, they go from posting 3 times a day to posting once a month. Okay, so you've all come across pages like that on Facebook where someone hasn't posted for a year, I would think. Well, maybe it might just be me. So you need to have a plan. So you have a promotional plan for the venue, you have a marketing plan for the venue, your social media plan needs to marry in with that. Okay, because that means that you're always health checking it, you're always moving forward, you're always seeing where you're at with it all. Okay, so how many of you in the activity that you did are planning to use Facebook advertising, boosted posts, things like that to get in front of? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If I click my clicker. Hey, all right, so Facebook has the most targeted advertising in the world, bar none. All right. So there are some really cool things that you can do with it if you take the time to play with the advertising model. And what I would recommend that you do first is learn how to use Power Editor. Okay, so Power Editor is Facebook's bolt-on that allows you to import your mailing list and go find those people by their email address. Okay, and then it allows you to advertise directly to people who have already frequented your venue. Even better than that, you can say to Facebook, well, they're my top 400 clients, whatever it might be. I want you to go and find me the top 1% match to those people in terms of their likes and what they do. And there's a whole algorithm that sits behind that. It's called replicating your audience. So now I've gone from 400 to 140,000 or whatever. So top 1% match, whatever that looks like. And from there, you can then target that by demographic. Okay. Why is that important and better than boosted posts? Okay, ads are better than boosted posts because you can target in a more detailed fashion. You can target by employment. You can say, I want this ad to go in front of people who work at these companies. I want it to go in front of people who have the title manager, managing director, assistant, whatever it might be. Okay, so it's worth playing around with the model so that you get it right. The other beauty of Power Editor is that you can choose ad placement. Okay, so I never pay for these sidebar ads over here. It's a waste of time. I only ever pay to push ads in the news feed, so it's going in the middle of their news feed on a mobile device. Often, it's rare that I do it on a desktop, because on a desktop it's more obvious that it's a sponsored post. On a mobile, that little sponsored over there, when you're just flicking through stuff, it's not quite so obvious. Depends how much you use it. All right. I always, when I'm doing paid advertising, have a clear call to action. And generally, I'm driving them to a page on the website. Okay, does that make sense? All right, I'm driving them to the website because I own that real estate. I resent paying Facebook to speak to my fans. Okay, so my biggest goal in all of that is to capture an email address. Okay, so that I can market to them again when I see fit. Okay, so Facebook's a great tool. You just need to be really clear about what you want to achieve with your advertising component. The other thing to bear in mind that's really cool is LinkedIn has the second most targeted advertising in the world, bar none. And you can choose to put your sponsored updates. So you need to have a company page, not just a profile. You can put your sponsored updates in front of specific job roles and industries by seniority. So I can say, I want this post to go in front of managing directors, CEOs and HR managers. So for argument's sake, if you've got a room like this or a function room and you're like, you know what, I'm quite happy to have people come in for training during the day. It's dead space, dead real estate. So I want to target registered training organisations, people in education management. Here's a post about we're happy to do training and this is what we can do. The beauty of LinkedIn is that you can do that. You can push that post right in front of those people. Again, you've got to pay for the privilege though. And your cost per click on LinkedIn's a lot more than Facebook. So Facebook, think 28 cents to $1.20. LinkedIn, $5.28 to $9 depending. But with LinkedIn, you're paying for the privilege of pushing your post right under their nose. Okay, and there's nothing else that can do that for you in that way. So the trick is, like when I've done LinkedIn stuff in the past, all I've really done is gone, you know what, I'm going to spend $50 on that. So I'm going to set a total budget, set a test and see if it actually generates any interest. Okay, if it doesn't, then I go back and I can edit the post, okay, or I can rejig the post. So what I'll do you guys want to have a look at what those different ad modules look like? Yeah? Getting nods. Okay. So, all right. Come on. Okay, so on LinkedIn, all right, so here's one I prepared earlier. Let's have a look. Okay. So, all right, so this was one that I did as a sample for a training course I was running yesterday. So you can see you've got the audience is 7,694 people. That's my target audience. So they're in Adelaide, Australia. They're either a CEO, managing director, general manager, marketing manager, or co-founder. So they're the job titles on their LinkedIn profile that I'm targeting. All right. Campaign runs indefinitely. You can see I said, oh, you know what? I'm happy to spend $100 total. Okay. But my bid is $5.70 per click. And I'm not paying for impressions. So an impression is when it came up in my newsfeed, but I didn't do anything with it. Okay, it's a bit like reach on Facebook. Reach is not that exciting because it just means someone scrolled past it. Okay, what you want to look at is clicks and engagement. Okay, so before I turned it off, sneaky buggers, somebody clicked on it, so that was good. And it actually turned out that they ended up booking into the course, so that was an added bonus. So you can see how you get measurables, you can see what's happening on it, but then if you go, see if I can bring up the company page. All right, so where's my sponsored? We're pretty, there you go. All right, so this was the post. Social media training courses. Are you trying to do X, Y, Z? You can see organic, so we got 425 impressions. 4 people clicked, 5 interactions, so your percentage of engagement is clicks plus interactions divided into your impressions, so that gives you your engagement rate. Sponsoring it, okay, so like I said, I spent $5.70. I got an extra couple of interactions and 306 impressions before I turned it off, because I wasn't really. And the reason that I turned it off, because I'm sending them to the homepage of my training courses, but I'm talking about a specific coaching program, so that's bad practice because I'm not sending them where I'm talking about, okay? So it's pretty basic to do. It's not that hard. You can literally walk through the advertising model. If you go to Facebook, hopefully I don't have anything too incriminating on there, and you go into your ads manager. Okay, so we talked about Power Editor. You see it, can guys kind of see that on the left, yeah? All right. Ugh. Okay. Okay, so you can see in here, I've got these custom audiences, okay? So the thing that I didn't say is that you can also tell Facebook to go find people by their mobile phone number. Okay, this is particularly handy because we all use our mobiles to secure our accounts. All right, so you get a better hit rate. So what I did was I exported my LinkedIn contacts and I imported them into here. So I exported, I think at the time I had 2,400. Facebook managed to find 1,400 of them by their mobile number. Okay. Then my lookalike audience, so it's that top 1% match to those people, is 132,000. All right. Similarly, you can see here I've had cold contacts. So I've imported 1,600 people that I haven't really been in front of for a while. And then similarity and lookalike. So sorry, lookalike is like your top 10% match and similarity is your top 1%, and you can do anything in between. The beauty of this is when I ran an advertising campaign with my cold contacts and my LinkedIn contacts, and it was the only place that I was advertising was on Facebook. All right, and I get out and do lots of networking events because I'm responsible for business development for the business. So it's running into people and they're like, "You're everywhere at the moment. We're seeing you everywhere. Like, you guys must be doing really, really well." I'm like, "Yeah, it's been awesome. It's only advertising in one spot." Okay, but because it wasn't where they were expecting to see me, it was more effective, okay? Because they were actually unwinding at the end of the day with a glass of wine because kids had gone to bed or whatever it might be, they're more psychologically receptive to the message that you're trying to deliver, okay? So that's why social media marketing is handy, because you're meeting them in a different playing field. It's not disruptive in the same way, okay? So that's all very exciting, but you want to get into your ads. I don't know if I'm actually not running any. Let's have a look at this one. Okay. Oops. All right. So I'm not sure if how well you can. Oh, come on. You can see this, but basically you can go through. So in this case, it was for a Facebook page. Okay, so within Adelaide, 25 and older interests, they were a business owner. They were the only people that I wanted to talk to. All right. You can see what the ad looks like, kind of. But you see down here in this case, it shouldn't be those two, it should be this one. Okay, so you can see newsfeed on mobile. I can even say, well, you know what, I only want it to go to iPhones or to Androids, depending, okay? It's really important if you're doing video that you tick only when connected to Wi-Fi. Why do you guys think that might be important? Anybody?
Go through their data limit.
Yeah.
I'll just set it up.
Yeah. Well, two reasons. You'll chew their data. They might have turned it off, but the other thing is buffering. Yeah. So the amount of times I have clicked on something on Facebook to look at it, and in 5 seconds it hasn't loaded and I've just gone, stuff it, I've got better things to do with my time. Okay, less likely to happen when they're connected to Wi-Fi. Plus they're less likely to care about their data. Okay, so the other thing is you can see here you can use a conversion tracking pixel. So what that basically does is you can create a bit of code and embed it on your website, and it will tell you when people are actually getting there. It will pull that into your reporting, so it simplifies things to have a look at. Okay, so the only thing with Power Editor is you can see up there, like, you need to download to Power Editor when you start, and it will pull all your pages and all your posts down for you to turn them into ads. And then when you finish playing with it, you need to upload the changes because it's actually separate to Facebook. So if you forget one of those steps, your ads won't go through. Okay, makes sense. It's a lot to cover in a short period of time because that alone is usually a 2-hour course. So normally what you would do is just get in there and play with it. Like, it's not, this stuff's, you can't really break it. Just make sure that you set your budgets, like total spend. Can't really break it. Things to bear in mind with advertising with hospitality and social media, okay? When you're talking about gaming or liquor licensing, I recommend that you do your mock-ups of what you want to do and take advice from whoever it is in your organisation that is responsible for making sure that you are compliant with the advertising codes of conduct for your industry. I say that because I've been out of it for 7 years, so I could give you advice on it, but it might be wrong. Okay, check in if you're doing stuff with the OLGC, okay, or go through all of your different codes of conduct and your legislation and make sure that you're compliant. All right, because the last thing that you want to do is be that venue that put something on Facebook that was non-compliant, that gave OLGC a chance to have a go. And I forget the other gambling entity with teeth, Fleur.
I'm not a gambling person.
You're not a gambling person? Who's the other one that you guys answer to? Who does all the barring notices and stuff like that? Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so you don't want to mess with the IGA, you don't want to mess with OLGC, so, you know, just be aware of it. If you're doing liquor-based stuff, set your page to 18 and over. Okay, so go into your settings and set it to 18 and over so that, you know, it's easy for you to demonstrate, well, you know, we've set it at this point for advertising, but just do your research and get some advice so that you're not stepping outside the bounds of what you can do. Right, we all know that food's safe and simple. The other thing that you need to be aware of, I suppose, is like when you do it using photos and things on social media. So what most people neglect to do is to get some form of consent or sign off to use that image in publicity. Okay, so particularly if you've got minors who are involved, it's all very well to say, well, here's a fantastic photo and I want to throw it up here. Well, do you have the written consent of the parents to do that? Okay, or are you asking for trouble? So some of the best stuff you can do is take images that don't actually show people's heads. You know, showcase the food, showcase the fact that there's a packed room. I mean, it's what I find really interesting with this stuff is, you know, a lot of venues will have the Saturday night photographer comes through, takes a whole heap of photos, whacks them up on Facebook, you know, highlights someone's head. If this is you, come get a $50 voucher, drink voucher for next week. So my issue with that is I'm not sure where they get the sign off from those people. Like, is it written into their terms and conditions as they come through the door, or is it that the photographer's just asking them that it's okay that they take their photos and letting them know that it's actually going to be up on social media? So these are just like, I don't know, these are considerations that you need to look into and be aware of. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so that leaves you with 15 minutes to ask me any questions that you want to know the answers to, or any queries about your assessments that you're not sure of. Okay? Blank looks. Anybody? Anybody? You're all very quiet. Hey? You already, yeah, you were sneaky in the break and asked me all the questions. Yeah, I don't get a break. That's all good. I'm going straight from here to another training course, so I definitely don't get a break, but that's all good. Wow, I got off so easily. No questions about Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+? No?
Did you do a course for this, or did you sort of learn as you went?
Okay, so long story short, when I had kids, I decided I didn't want to run pubs anymore because it's just no good. So then I managed a registered training organisation for a while, and while I was there, I was writing courses on social media for business when it was kind of emerging, so like 4 years ago. And then 2 years into that, they asked me to do business development as well. And I said, yeah, I don't want to work 60 hours a week, I've been there. And so started the social media agency. So it's been 2 years. And we just, like, we follow a lot of people in Canada and America, the UK, where Hootsuite accredited. So Hootsuite, which is the dashboard that we use, has heaps of courseware that you can just sign up for Hootsuite University and do all of their webinars and stuff. And we're Facebook Studio accredited, which means we're agency accredited for them. So I have access to all their courseware as well. So, yeah. So yes, I did do some courses just online. That's it. Well, you guys are off the hook. I don't know what Fleur's doing with you for the rest of the time. I'm not sure what that plan is, but if you do get stuck and you have social media questions, you can find me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. If you Google Simone Douglas, I come up everywhere. So feel free to either email me, tweet me. You won't get me on the phone because I'm usually in classes a lot. But if it's a 5-second question that I can answer that's going to help you to get your assessments done, I'm quite happy to do that. Okay? Fleur, is there anything else you wanted me to cover? Because I've got no questions for me. No. Yes.
So all of this section, you know, starting with the marketing plan,
Yep.
so we're just pretty much just taking that,
Filling it in.
Yep.
Yep.
And just filling them all in.
Yep.
As we see.
Yep. So because you're covering off on a marketing unit and an e-marketing unit, in terms of your assessment, and Fleur can probably answer this better than me, but there's certain performance criteria that you have to demonstrate. So that template is you ticking all those boxes if you fill it in.
So say, about a month or two ago, I actually went through and did a full action plan and business business plan and marketing plan for the park. Can I
Yes.
give you that?
Yes.
Excellent.
I think, but then
You can.
So yeah.
2 copies, one
Yeah.
with Nick's name on.
Well, what Simone said is right. There's things that need to be covered in the training
Yeah.
package, and it's you have to be able to prove that you understand the content structure of a marketing plan, and then you have to do some digital marketing activities. So
Yeah.
that would cover you off for the marketing plan section. Yeah. Still have to do a couple of activities and record the results.
And I think the trick then would be demonstrating that the digital marketing activities that you undertook marry into your marketing plan
Yes. Yes.
and the
exactly.
objectives that you're
Exactly.
trying to. Is that a good answer?
Yeah. Anything you guys can do to use, work that you've already done.
Yeah.
We don't want you to do extra stuff and non-relevant stuff.
No.
So,
And you guys will all have budgets, like for your different departments that you have to achieve. So you just take that and work it back.
and if there's
Yeah.
elements of the marketing plan, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if there's elements, of what it's asking for that you think are not suited to your business, we could, I'm sure you don't have to have exactly that template. I'm sure you can.
No, you can. If you've got one, you can use your own. That's literally that. There is my marketing plan without the information in it. Really, it took me ages to strip it all out. So, so use it. No, it's all good. Look, that's beneficial if you don't have one. Really, at the end of the day, if and I would hope for venues of your size that you do already have one. So then your assessment's going to be a hell of a lot quicker because it's like, yep, here's my marketing plan. Here are the 2 digital activities to marry it in. This is what I've done. These were the results that I got. One of the things I suppose I didn't talk to you about actually, now that I think about it, is if you're using Facebook as one of your digital marketing activities, let's pick on Palmer's because they're big numbers. Okay, so on your insights, this is going to tell you when to post, like when your audience is online. You really want to be looking at these things for a couple of reasons. So number one, it's going to give you your demographics. All right, so who are you talking to? Where are they based? So is your audience even there? So if you want to talk to men aged 18 to 24, in this particular instance, you're hooped. You're going to need to go and find a new platform or find a way to grow that audience. All right, because they're not there. And I'm picking on Palmer's because it's predominantly female. Okay, so that being said, then you've got to work out, if you've already got a Facebook page, what time is your audience online? Okay, so it's going to tell you. So if I have a peak at 9 o'clock at night, do you think I want to be posting just before I hit that peak? Yeah. If I have it, like they have, big numbers, but they have 20,000 fans online at midnight. So, for them, it's useful for them to be posting around that time too because there's less noise online. So their stuff is going to cut through better than somebody else's. Okay, and we talked about how do you measure success. Actually, that's not the one that I want posts. Okay, so down here, you can see we've got people who are in the way. Okay, so you've got reach. This is impressions. Okay, really, look, impressive figures. This post reached 11.2 thousand people. But it's really only impressive because $390 people clicked on the post. They did something with the post. Okay, so if you're looking for a quick way to measure success to feed something back to Fleur and you're running something, you say we got this many clicks. Or we didn't, so we changed it and we did a new post and we got that many clicks. Okay, that's success. Okay, obviously 965 people clicked on it and look at that, it's a promotion. They're giving away something. Okay, one of the best ones was this one. So if you're trying to work out what's already working, okay, so they put a post up, Kate Middleton's expecting a baby, let's give her some cream for stretch marks. The reason, it got 70 comments, and the reason was, believe it or not, people got really pissed off that Palmer's was offering to give Kate stuff for free. Give it to somebody who can't afford it. Give it to this person, give it to that person. I spent 2 hours on the computer going, oh, that's really good feedback, blah, 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 blah. Oh, are you expecting, when's your baby due? Is it your first? Is it your second? So I made a whole heap of small talk and everyone started to calm down. And the beauty of all of that small talk though, okay, was that it ended up reaching 11,000 people because I just kept talking to them. Eventually we were completely off topic by the end of that thread. Like if you look at it, there was some woman talking about, you know, she'd done this, that, the other, and I'm like, okay, so that problem's solved. And in the scheme of things, there was only one comment that I had to hide from the page. So some woman posted on there about sheep's placentas. I don't know why. I was like, okay, that's just a little bit far. All right, so I guess all I'm saying is like, this is what success looks like, is how many clicks. How many clicks are you getting? How many likes and shares? Likes and shares are an added bonus because then they're sharing it onto their profile. People can see it. Okay, but clicks still mean that you hit the mark with your content. People still wanted to read it. People were still interested. If you're getting no clicks, wasting your time, because impressions and reach is just someone scrolled past it on their feed. They may not have even stopped. It just showed up. Make sense?
I don't know if you've covered this or if this is
I don't know.
question, but you know how when you go through your newsfeed and the posts,
Yeah.
if they're short, you can see them.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't click on them. Should they be longer?
No.
So that people have to click on them?
Oh.
Or should they, you know how it's like continue reading? And you're like,
Yeah, okay, so here's my golden rule for that. So that one, okay, people clicked on it. You got lots of clicks on the post because they wanted to read the comments.
Yeah, right.
Okay, people had commented and they're like, ooh, what are they saying? Plus, people want to read the comments because they don't want to say something that's already been said. So if you can conspire to get some of your locals or regulars to comment on posts, it encourages more people to engage with it. How many of you who use Facebook have a friend that posts really long, verbose status updates and you never click see more? Unless there's some big major drama and you really want to know what's going on. So that's the trick. If you're feeding the drama, and sometimes that can pay off, but like be careful with that. Like if you're going to do something contentious and you think's a bit cheeky, make sure that you've got sign off from the person that's going to jump on you if it goes wrong. Okay, that's just good advice.
Is there such a thing as too many comments then?
No.
If the post is too long, is too many comments to read? No?
No, because there are two types, there are four main types of personalities. I don't know if you cover this in your course. So has anyone done DISC profiling before? Okay, so you Google it and you can do a free DISC assessment. It will tell you what kind of person you are and how you are in the world. It's very entertaining. But to give you an example, I'm what's called a high D and a high I. That means that I really want to make a decision now. Don't bore me with all the fluff. Just give me the facts so that I can get on with it. And everybody's my friend. So I want to go be friends with everybody. So that's like underneath that, you've got C's and S's. So C's are those really task-driven, finite details. You have to give them everything, all of the information, and talk to them about it before they're happy to move forward, which they're great people to have doing stock takes, okay, because they really care about that one bottle of wine that's missing. I was never that, well, I was that person, but, and then you've got...
know that you probably drank it.
Probably. Only when I was at the Aberfoyle hub. And then you've got S's are like slow to trust, all about relationships. So I met you today, you're my friend now, that's it. If I ran into you in the pub, I'd be like, hey, how are you going? If I was an S, I'd be like, well, you need to get to know me and I need to know your life story. And they're the people in your pub that, because I'm very task driven, I'll go in and I'll be like, great to see you. I need you to do this, 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 and this. Then we need to check off on that, blah, 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 blah. So, okay, so my admin officer that used to come in on the weekend, I'd start like that. And she'd go, hi, Simone, how are you? How was your weekend? Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about what each other's been up to before we get into work mode. Okay, 'cause she was an S. She was all about relationships. And she taught me to be better at it because I was woeful. It was all about what's happening in the pub. So there are four types of people. Some people will just read the synopsis of comments, okay? So I'm one of those people, it's not often I'll click through, see all the comments till I get to the bottom of the comment thread. I'll get a rough idea and then throw my 2 cents worth in and move on. But other people will actually click through and read every single comment. So you just keep everybody happy. Okay, Facebook does that by keeping it small. Any other questions? No? Excellent. You know where to find me if you need me.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.